Good morning, beautiful beings. Thanks for tuning in again. I wanted today to talk about a big buzzword at the moment, or a big topic that affects relationships. So there's a lot of talk about codependency at the moment and what that means. I definitely know what it's like to almost wake up out of codependency and think about how it's not really serving me. And I think we align with the theory that if we're dependent on other people, then it greatly affects the relationship and the freedom in it. But I guess the big part of that is, well, how do we move away from codependency in relationships that are really important to us? How do we change that relationship dynamic but still stay connected and still do it in a way that is honorable and authentic to us? Because obviously relationships are probably the most important thing in our lives, right? Our connection to people, to the land, to the world around us is so deeply important for us, for our evolution, for how fulfilled we feel. And it's just what we're hardwired for. So having said that, we really want our relationships to be of good quality. And what that means is we want deep, long-lasting, sustainable connection that doesn't drain us or the other person and just adds so much inspiration and richness to our lives. I think most of us can register a time when we notice that relationships either aren't serving us or they're running down an unsustainable path. Or possibly what I see a lot is as people heal, as they really start to step up in their self-development, their relationships start to change. They start to attract different people. Sometimes old relationships naturally fall out, and there's a grieving process to that too. So I wanted to deconstruct that a little bit and talk about some of my experiences and what I see in other people and what I've gone through myself. So a lot of people feel something when they read about codependency and they wonder, do I have codependent relationships? Because it feels like it sometimes. And there's a lot of warning flags that we can theorize about. But I guess the biggest red flag for codependency is we find it hard to make our own decisions without talking to either one person or a bunch of different people. We need other people to listen to us, to hold space for us, to give us advice, or to have a say in what we're doing and approve of what we're doing. We feel lonely, isolated, sad, and uncomfortable when we don't have people providing that support system for us. Or some people feel that if they don't have the role of counselor, listener, the person that holds space, the person that listens constantly, that their relationships are vulnerable, that they won't feel heard or seen, and that everything will fall apart. And they're the patterns that I see the most. And where are we overextending ourselves for our relationships? Where are we simply doing what we think we should do, even though it's draining us, even though it's hurting us, even though we're tired of doing it? And how do we change that? So sometimes being close to people, there's no problem with that. Feeling deeply connected to someone is so beautiful. Codependency comes in when we need them to fill a void for us, right? Practically that shows up as I can't make a decision by myself. I need to speak to this person or a few people. When I'm feeling sad, I need to speak to someone. When I'm feeling uncomfortable in myself, I need to vent or I need to share, or I need to recap over and over what's going on for me. Also, everything that my loved ones do, or maybe my partner, my friends, my family, everything that they do deeply affects me. So when they're having a hard time, I feel like I'm having a hard time. When they're sad, I feel like I'm sad. Now, to a certain extent, that happens in relationships anyway, particularly with empathetic, sensitive people. But if we can't keep our own energy systems where they need to be, it also means we're taking on too much from other people. So it's not required of me to be sad when you're sad, because it also changes the way I can support you. If I'm connected to you and we're in a loving, respectful relationship, that when you're sad, I don't need to be affected, but I can move in to support you from a place where I have capacity. And if I don't have capacity, I can express that, put up a boundary and say, let me know what else I can do for you, because I can't actually go there with you. One of my mantras is, actually two of my mantras that I use for relationships is, your partner is not your counselor, and they shouldn't need to be. Your family members also don't need to be your counselor, and your friends. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with deeply sharing and unpacking things with people that we're connected to. But if we're using that as a way to feel trust and connection, and it's required for that to happen, then we're looking into the shadowy territory of, am I trying to fill a void here? So am I filling a void by feeling helpful for you to be that counselor role? Or am I needing a void to be filled by you listening to me and everything that happens? And what if we took that away? What if we took out the wound sharing, the oversharing, the rescuing and over nurturing? If we took that away, what do we have left? If we deeply need to earn trust from each other, then that reflects possibly something that we need to heal within ourselves. So if I don't trust myself, it's really hard for me to trust you. And trust is a dicey subject for most people, right? Because if our experiences tell us that people can't be trusted, this is a limiting belief that we've set up, usually from trauma. That doesn't mean that other people need to earn our trust because we've been through something that challenges it. It means it's our responsibility to go back, to heal the wound, to develop trust within ourselves, so we then can offer that with connection to other people. Doesn't mean you have to trust everyone, not at all. It means that it's not such a void in us that needs to be earned. Your systems, your body, your intuition will tell you who to trust anyway. But if we're coming from an empty space, a void within us that desperately needs to be filled, then that governs our connections, and we move towards often disempowering habits to fill the void. Our voids are our responsibility. There is no situation in our lives that will tell us that connection isn't risky. And everyone has that experience to a certain degree. That is how we learn about human connection. If we learn that nobody can be trusted, we all lose. If we learn that human connection is too risky and I better just keep to myself, we all lose. However, if we're working towards healing codependency, which means I'm an independent person, I take responsibility for my voids, I know what my shadow tells me, I take all of that information out, I use the tools that are at my disposal, communication, authenticity, body language, honesty, all of these things, expressing my emotions, And I connect with people from a place that tells them deeply who I am. I don't mask everything that's hard for me and put people through this grueling process of needing to earn that bit that's under my mask. If we're already in relationships that are now changing, moving from codependence into independence, healing our wounds, taking responsibility for them, such a beautiful process. The way that we move beyond that is communication. There's a difference in saying, this situation makes me feel uncomfortable. I take responsibility for what's going on with me. I'm going to take some space and come back and reconnect with you when I'm feeling a bit better. Then how could you say that? I don't want to speak to you anymore. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Completely different situation. Now, obviously, when our emotions are triggered, it's hard for us to find the right words. But through deep work of the self, through deep work of what drives the codependency, what the voids are that are actually searching for that belonging, that trust, that love, and we work on that, simply us working on it will change the vibration in our relationships, right? Because we read face and body language even more than we read words, when we're taking a reading from someone, which everybody does, you don't need skill set, you're doing it anyway. When we're taking a reading from someone that is starting to own their stuff, is starting to come through with more confidence and independence, we see them start to change. What reflects back to me, more confidence, more independence. So the more we work on ourselves, the more we benefit other people, the more that we heal our own voids and love ourselves more, the more love we have to offer other people, right? If we are practicing fear, if we are practicing self-sabotage, if we are attaching to fear and we decide that no one can be trusted, that's what we invite. We attract other people that have that same wound, that same programming, that same imprint. And people often wake up as they've attracted people that resonate with their old fears. And they say, oh, I don't know if this situation's good for me. I don't know if these relationships are good for me. I don't know if I'm feeling inspired or topped up. I might feel a little bit worse when I'm around certain people. And that can be a confronting issue. So if you're getting these reflections, if you're resonating with codependency, then it's time to look within and figure out what that codependency is trying to mask. What are the voids that are trying to be filled through other people? Where am I overextending? Where am I oversharing? Where am I putting too much pressure on? Where am I expecting from other people something that I need to give myself? What are the patterns that leave me drained? What are the parts of my relationships that I don't like? What are the triggers that I don't hold responsibility for? What are the words I don't want to say? What are the words I do want to say more of? It is a beautiful time to reflect on all this, particularly when we're being somewhat restricted and isolated from each other. Relationships don't need to suffer from lack of time together. In my experience, most of them strengthen because I have the opportunity to look within and to find out what I need to heal and then see appreciation for the people around me. My relationships tell me about myself always. My relationships have the biggest capacity to evolve. If I step up and change myself, it is possible that everyone around me has that opportunity to change as well, and vice versa. A collective community always represents our biggest opportunity for change because we can inspire each other. We can use each other's energy to enrich what's going on. It gives us the why. Why do all this healing? Because then I'll have more love and more abundance and more people around me. Why look at my own voids? Because then I take the pressure off everybody else to fill them, and I can just have fun, right? Why not overshare? Why, if it makes me feel good? Because then we can get to the place where we're simply enjoying each other and we're there for each other. That doesn't mean we have draining experiences. So I hope some of that resonates. Please reach out if codependency is something that you're looking at. One big thing I do for a lot of people is we do a lot of clearing soul contracts with you and the people in your life. Super interesting work. It takes away a lot of the energy imprints around what we experience in relationship dynamics, and we do touch on past lives as well. Sometimes we realize that what we're going through with someone, it feels like we've been there before over and over again. Or sometimes the relationship dynamic feels different to the actual situation. So clearing soul contracts is a beautiful way of understanding our relationships on a deeper level and also owning what part of that is ours. I do a lot of clearing for people and for myself all the time. If I want a relationship to evolve and to grow and for there to be more love and less fear, I clear away all resistance and allow that newness to come through. So if that resonates with you, please reach out. Also share any experiences you've had with codependency, or share how awesome your relationships are. Up to you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks so much. And I will speak to you next week. Thank you. Bye.